It's another gorgeous day in the Valley of the Sun, and live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, it's Dodgers spring training baseball. And today the Dodgers take on the Chicago White Sox. Hi again, everybody. Along with Steve Lyons, this is Rick Mundy, and for the Dodgers, along with every other Major League team, the clock continues to count down. The Dodgers are 1 week away from opening day. That's in San Diego against the Padres, but first things first. And one thing that we do know is this good crowd here this afternoon going to enjoy some sunshine, going to enjoy some baseball. And as Tom Lasorda delivers the Dodgers lineup card, time is beginning to run out. And Steve, quite frankly, there are some players trying to make both rosters that basically are about ready to run out of time.
Yeah, this is the worst time of the year for any big league player because the guys that are going to make the team are done. They want the spring training to be over. They want the seasons to start. And the guys that are on the bubble, it's the worst time of the year because they're not sure if they're going to make the club. They might be back in AAA. They might get an all-out release. And then when that day comes when they say, hey, kid, you made the club, then it becomes the best time of the year.
Well, in those lineup cards, it'll show Aaron Harang will start here this afternoon for the Dodgers. And Harang coming over off decidedly his best season. That was with the San Diego Padres a season ago. He will be facing another big guy. Harang is 6'7", and Chris Sale, the left-hander, 6'6" on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. Happy to have you with us this afternoon. 1 week away. Yep, that's right. Opening day 1 week away. That will be the Dodgers in San Diego, but baseball here at Camelback Ranch. When we come back, starting lineups in baseball from the Valley of the Sun. Mentioned earlier, the weatherman has dialed in an absolutely gorgeous afternoon. They're expecting the temperature somewhere in the low 90s here in the Valley of the Sun. So a good day to work out for the players and for manager Don Mattingly. Pretty much as he has done. Going to get what we're seeing as the normal part of the lineup. You see the arbiters at home plate waiting for the ball clubs to take the field as Mattingly gets in some autographs. So the umpires will be Ben May behind the plate. He'll call the balls as strikes. John Dupayne is going to be at first, Rod Drake at second, and Hal Gibson is over at third base. And one thing we know, Steve, first of all, with this batting order of the White Sox with DeAzen, Lillibridge, Beckham is a late replacement. In fact, for Alex Rios, he was scheduled to bat in the 3 spot, but he is going to give way to soreness in the Achilles tendon. Adam Dunn, who's had a resurgence in spring training, will follow. Alexa Ramirez, Tyler Flowers, Viciedo, followed by Thompson, a late-minute replacement, and Eduardo Escobar with on the mound left-hander Chris Sale in his second full season at the Major League level. But one thing that we do know, Steve, is that Aaron Harang, coming off a terrific year last year and making a start, his 5th of the spring this afternoon.
Really, maybe his best season ever as a pro. He had 16 wins 1 year in Cincinnati, but last year down in San Diego, which is a great pitcher's park to pitch in. He won 14 games, and he has best ERA at 3.64. I think the Dodgers would take that in a heartbeat out of Harang. This is his 5th start of the spring. He's 1-1 with an ERA of under 4. So he's rounding himself into shape right now.
And for Harang, here's the defense that the Dodgers will have behind him. The infield from left to right, Uribe at third, Gordon at short, Ellis is at second. Rivera playing at first base today. In the outfield, Fields, Kemp, and Ethier, with A.J. Ellis doing the catching here this afternoon. As Don Mattingly had talked about against left-handed pitching, well, Ethier has been moved to the number 5 spot in the lineup. And for James Loney, just an afternoon off. So big Aaron Harang into the windup, and Alejandro De Aza steps in, the left-handed batter, hitting at .264 this spring. And we're underway with a count of 0-1.
Aaron Harang, a little bit of a different pitcher in his older age. He sinks the ball a little more often now instead of trying to blow high fastballs by guys. I think he's realized the importance of getting quicker outs.
And Dusty Baker had a great analogy from Harang when Aaron was playing over with the Cincinnati Reds, and of course with Dusty, who was his manager. He talked about nobody against right-handed batters paints the outside corner at the knees better than Aaron Harang, which kind of goes against the thought, because you consider Harang maybe more of a fly ball pitcher.
Yeah, and if I can paint the corners at the knees, I'm going to do that all day long.
The 1-2 is fouled off. Interesting, the Dodgers, as we mentioned, they will open up a week from today in San Diego. The White Sox will open up on the road a week from tomorrow in Texas against the Rangers. So Robert Ventura, the skipper of the Chicago White Sox.
You're going to throw them right into the fire, aren't they?
And that high sky D. Gordon with all the speed will give way. And for Josh Fields starting in left field today, makes that catch. And this is a good afternoon too, Steve, here to catch the ball by committee if possible.
Well, we know now after being here for a number of seasons here at Camelback Ranch, even when the wind isn't blowing, this ball jumps to left center field. And with the high sky, as you mentioned, no clouds in the sky, really hard to judge the depth perception of the baseball coming down.
Brendan Lillibridge stepping in, playing at first base today. Of course, Paul Konerko, when he's not serving as the designated hitter, will primarily be at first for the Chicago White Sox, as Harang gets out in front early. Lillibridge has had a very good season as far as the spring, hitting at .333, 7 doubles. He's knocked in 5 runs, and in the number 2 spot here this afternoon. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, I think if you're a youngster out there, if you're not here at the ballpark on spring break, maybe you're watching the game. Lillibridge is a classic example of a guy who has made himself a good major league player because he can play a lot of different positions. They love his ability to bounce around and play a bunch of places on the field, and he's not got a bad stick, but one of those guys where if he was really a great hitter, he'd nail down one position, but because he isn't, he's got a bunch of different gloves, and that helps him stay on the field.
The 1-2. And Lillibridge, we talked about the gloves, but don't overlook the bat. We mentioned hitting at .333 in the spring, and he's aboard with a 1-out single. Here's Gordon Beckham. Hitting at .296 for the spring. He was going to be lower in the lineup, but because, again, the injury, really soreness in the Achilles tendon of Alex Rios. About 25 minutes prior to the start of the game, Beckham was placed in the number 3 spot, and he'll be at second base this afternoon. White Sox used something. Ken Williams, their general manager, very well-respected man, in his 12th season in that position. Actually, this past winter used a word that we don't hear general managers utter too often: rebuilding. But rebuilding, Steve, with a ball club that still figures to be much better than some had anticipated. Although a year ago at this time, everyone was expecting, well, the White Sox will challenge in the Central.
Well, in 2005, when they won the World Series, I don't think anyone thought they were a World Series team going into that year.
There's that pitch we talked about with Harang, right-handed batters, low and away, just missed there, 2-0. White Sox, 11 wins and 15 losses for the spring, and for the Dodgers, 12 wins, 10 losses, and 4, well, we ran out of pitchers. Tie games. Runner going, and it's fouled off. So Ventura, interesting study as well. Robert Ventura, very well-respected player. He was in the White Sox player development department along with Buddy Bell. Again, an all-star player and then an all-star person. But Ventura has no coaching experience, no managerial experience, and yet he is a very good fit.
Well, he's a complete opposite of what Ozzie Guillen was. And I think, at a certain point, for as much as Ozzie did for the organization, won a World Series title for them, certainly spoke his mind. Guys like that can generally, you can start to tune them out after a while. A guy who's always on the top step and always talking and yelling and screaming at his players, after a while they stop listening. And I think Ozzie managed 8 years there with the White Sox. Now he's on to Miami, and it was time for a change.
Well, Ventura did a right thing as well. You got a shot of his right-hand man. That's his bench coach. And if you have a problem, you want a bench coach that can back you up. And Mark Parent can back anyone up.
Yeah.
6'5" and about 240, Mark Parent. 2-2 and is fouled off. And fortunately, very mild-mannered. Look at Bernie on your left. A catcher in his own right at the major league level.
Played winter ball with Mark Parent down in Venezuela so many years ago. Teammates with Robin Ventura when I was with the White Sox. Talk about an even-keeled kind of guy.
Runner going on the 2-2. And Kemp an easy time of it. So there's the fly ball. There's been 2 outs recorded of the fly balls off of Aaron Harang. So with runner over first, here's a guy, the resurgence of Adam Dunn. And he talked with Dunn last year, had a miserable time. We talk about the Mendoza line at 200 average. He wishes he could have gotten up to the Mendoza line last year, but how much of an effect did the emergency appendectomy have on Dunn? And now he says he came back too soon a year ago.
Yeah, obviously, when you're injured like that, that creates the problems in and of itself, but he came back from it a little bit early and started changing some things. Couldn't stand up the way he likes to stand up and hit, and one thing led to another, and then just more and more problems stemmed from the injury itself. I'm telling you, Mo, I certainly wasn't a very good player, but I could hit 159. It's hard to hit 159.
Well, and you wonder, you see the defense, and most ball clubs do. Uribe is actually playing on the right side of second base, comes over from third, and Mark Ellis is playing in shallow right.
He's a dead pull hitter, and it's funny because Dunn has always had sort of a sense of humor about this shift that occasionally he knows his job is to hit the ball out of the ballpark, but there are times in a ball game where he has tried to just drop a bunt down the third base line. There's nobody over there to get it, and he'll walk to first base and laugh.
There's a strike, 2 balls, and 1 strike. Adam Dunn hitting at 231. We showed the numbers a moment ago when he came up. 4 home runs and 12 RBIs. He has 13 walks, only 4 strikeouts. He had only 4 strikeouts. He lays claim to 2 of those strikeouts. And that's foul, fortunately for Aaron Harang. Hit it long, hit it far, hit it foul. You mentioned the 4 strikeouts, he only claims 2. He says that pitches were missed on the other ones. But the fact that Adam Dunn has only 4 strikeouts,
yep,
he has made much better contact, and he does not swing gently.
Well, he's a great on-base percentage guy because he always strikes out 100 times and walks 100 times. When you think about Adam Dunn, over the last 7 straight seasons, he averaged 40 homers. Last year he had 11. It was just miserable. You could pull a guy out of the stands, and he could hit $159.
The pitch is outside. The count now full 3-2. Oddly enough, Harang looking at Dunn, who's a pull hitter, and yet he has been missing and pitching away from the big lefty. So the run will be going here, top of the first. Happy to have you with us. Dodgers and White Sox from Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Runner going, and a good off speed by Aaron Harang. And for Adam Dunn, will have to lay claim to the 5th strikeout this spring. But Harang, a base hit, 2 fly balls, and a punch out. White Sox to no score. Dodgers coming on to face Chris Sale, the lefty. Aaron Harang gets the White Sox in the top of the first, and now in the bottom half, the home half, it'll be Dee Gordon to lead it off. Mark Ellis and then Matt Kemp to follow against Chris Sale, the young left-hander. Sale has been moved from the bullpen to the starting rotation. 6'6" lefty into the windup, and Dee Gordon, who has been red hot, takes a strike 0-1. Dee Gordon, all he's doing is hitting at .417 to see the numbers on Sale. Gordon with a 6-game hitting streak where he's hit .650. Has an on-base percentage that is just absolutely skyrocketing. And Steve, we've ever seen the other thing is he's learning to use the bunt.
Yeah, I love it when he bunts because he doesn't have to make a perfect bunt to be safe. He's just so fast. And he's hitting much better. He really is impressing me because, let's face it, the guy weighs 150 pounds. Sometimes you feel like you could knock the bat out of his hands, but not this year.
So he gets called out on strikes, and one of the few things that Dee Gordon has done is go to home plate without making contact. So there's one down. Here's Mark Ellis. Here's the rest of the Dodgers batting order. Behind Ellis, Kemp, then Rivera. Ethier again, we mentioned, against the left-hander, batting fifth, followed by Fields, Uribe, and A.J. Ellis. And then Harang will bat in the 9 spot. Dodgers are not using the designated hitter. However, the Chicago White Sox are here this afternoon.
You can see Chris Sale is kind of a sidewinding lefty. His fastball around 95. He's got a great changeup. There's a slider. As you mentioned, Mo, he's been a reliever. They're trying to make him into a starter. And so far in camp down here, his ERA is up over 5, but they're really just trying to get that arm strength built up.
Ellis is in there, and 286 in the spring. The other thing about Sale is the fact that last year as a rookie, 58 games, and the numbers were really eye-popping. Ball fouled off, 1 ball and 2 strikes. So 58 games, Sale had 8 saves. 6'6" lefty was 2-2, but then you look at the earned run average as a young kid, 2.79 a year ago. But they like the way that he has aggressiveness going, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mark Ellis. Ellis has been a very steady influence in the infield for this Dodger club in spring. Fouls it off, 2-2. The other thing that we've seen early now is that with Ellis up there, contact hitter, Don Mattingly has not shown any hesitation to use the hit and run opportunities, and especially if Gordon gets aboard at first with his speed. Got it.
Wow.
Well, Ellis is thinking a lot of things that hitters do think. When you have that fastball low and in, it's called a strike. It could be a long day at the office.
Yeah. Well, there's Ellis fouling that pitch before there, and then he got the called 3rd strike. I think he thought that was down and in, and the umpire didn't think so.
Sale gets back-to-back strikeouts, but here's the big man. What a season last year in Matt Kemp. His 6th full season at the big league level. Having a fine spring as well. Hit .312. And a breaking ball comes back. White Sox, one of the few teams that we see, they're playing the infield to pull with Kemp and the shortstop Ramirez on the outfield grass. Outfield is straight away. Check swing, and yes, says the first base umpire.
I actually like this alignment defensively for the Sox because I think Matt's greatest power when he hits the ball in the air is the opposite way. Hit it in the right center field gap, and then every once in a while, if he gets out in front and hooks one, he hits it on the ground and generally pull it. So you have the infielders on the left-hand side playing him to pull.
And a breaking ball, and Kemp did not like strike 2, and he did not like strike 3. But for Chris Sale, into that starting rotation, very impressive. Strikes out the side. We go to the second, no score. Matt Kemp on his way to his center field position, just stopping and talking to the umpires about the check swing during that at bat. So for Sale strikes out the first 3 Dodger batters that he faces, and now Aaron Harang with his teammates looking on from the third base dugout. We're to the middle part of this White Sox lineup. Alexi Ramirez, Tyler Flowers, and then Dan Viciedo. So Harang, who gave up a single, 1-out single in the first, also had a strikeout. First pitch is outside, 1-0. Alexi Ramirez. Boy, what a dazzling young player Ramirez is, in particular with a glove at shortstop. Ball outside, 2-0.
You really like what this kid brings. He hits about 280, hits 15 to 18 home runs every year, and he keeps cutting down on his errors. Made just 16 last year.
And just showing the bunt, that'll bring in the infield a little bit more. 2-1 to count. Ramirez, who's out of Cuba. In fact, he was playing with the Cuban national team when he was just 15 years of age. Talk about a big difference financially. As he hits a weak line drive, and D. Gordon climbs up that ladder. Ramirez, with the Cuban national team, was making $20 a month. Well, making considerably more right now, but he is one of the bright stars, young stars of this White Sox organization. One down. Here's Tyler Flowers doing the catching, hitting a .308. Couple of doubles so far this spring. Of course, A.J. Brzezinski, the veteran, will be behind the plate doing the lion's share of catching. White Sox in using the word rebuilding. But they have a lot to start their rebuilding upon. As that ball is fouled off, 1-1. We mentioned that Sale moving from the bullpen to the starting rotation. When you mention bullpen to general manager Ken Williams and also to the manager, Robert Ventura, they begin to smile. Even though there's a possibility of having 3 rookies in the bullpen. Pitch inside, and now count evens out. So for Robert Ventura, who is a very heads-up type of a player, now in a managerial role. 2-2. Ventura actually now has a player on his team that he addressed years ago when he was still a player himself. Long run for Ethier. And Ethier is able to make that run now with 2 healthy knees, having been scoped right before the season had ended last year. So he is doing it defensively and offensively. Runs that one down. 2 down, and here's Viciedo, who has struggled with the bat. He is not what you would consider a glove guy, playing in left field. When he hits it, it can be gone. And Steve, one thing about it, he is a mountain of a man and built very solidly.
He's got plenty of strength to hit the ball out of the ballpark in any field. It's just a matter of whether or not he connects.
He is like a lot of young players that come up. How do you hit the breaking ball? Well, we understand he hits the fastball much better than the breaking ball, at least to this point.
I say defensive struggles are part of his problem as well. They don't know where to put him. Naturally a third baseman, but they had him playing first base. They've had him in right field, and now they're sticking him in left field, and they're saying, well, that's going to be the place every day.
Another young man out of Cuba, and for Aaron Harang, he goes 1-2-3. So a game moving right along. Both pitchers right around the strike zone. Harang with a good outing. His second strikeout, no score in Glendale. Scoreless game, bottom of the second inning, a family affair at Camelback Ranch. Enjoying the game on the grass just beyond the fences here at Camelback Ranch. And that is prime real estate to be able to have, and the innocence of spring training and a youngster with dad watching a game. Juan Rivera's had a good spring, playing at first base this afternoon. Takes one from Sale, who struck out the first 3 Dodgers. Open it up. So Rivera, not only the average in spring, but the power to go with it. 4 home runs.
Well, the power is going to be a big thing for the Dodgers out of Rivera. They're going to need him to hit the ball out of the ballpark. It's the reason they brought him over here last year and the reason why they re-signed him.
Popped up. Lillibridge. And an easy play, and 4 in a row by Sale to start this ball game off.
And I'll tell you, on my flight over here from California earlier this morning, it was full of little leaguers with their big league baseball hats on. Most of the kids over in California now having spring break. So a lot of families headed over here to take in the weekend or maybe even more.
Andre Ethier did not have to travel far. He and his family make their home here. Of course, out of Arizona State University, just a few miles to our east. And for Ethier, a huge spring. Not only the 421, 8 doubles, 3 triples. And he has answered a question, Steve, I think, too. Maybe a challenge by Don Mattingly. And that is at bats, better swings, better approaches against left-handed batters. We touched upon earlier that he struggled again last year in that spot.
I love the fact that Don Mattingly came out early in the spring and said for both Loney and Ethier, if they don't hit better against left-handed pitching, they may not be in the lineup, and they definitely won't be in their customary spots. We certainly had seen batting orders last year and in years previous with Ethier hitting 4th, Loney hitting 5th. And we've already seen where Ethier will hit 5th in the lineup with a lefty pitching.
And a swing and a miss at a breaking ball. 5 up, 5 down, and 4 of them have been punched out by Sale. And that's the second batter that he's got with that breaking ball. So Ethier tired of the strikeout. We're not going 2-3. 2 outs, nobody on. And Josh Fields comes on, hitting at 289. Here's an interesting story as well, Steve, because when we arrived here in Arizona, the job in left field was really up for grabs with Jerry Sands, Juan Rivera, and then probably Tony Gwynn Jr. was going to be in a backup role. Well, Sands has already been optioned back out.
Yeah, Jerry Sands, I think everybody in the organization really pulls for Jerry. He's such a great guy. He has what we think is a tremendous amount of talent. He just hasn't been able to put it together yet at the major league level. But he played his way off of this ball club. And that opened up the door for a guy like Josh Fields.
Well, frustrating indeed for Jerry Sands, and it opened the door for Fields. Did he stay off of it? Yes, says the first base umpire.
Wow, that would have been another punch out. Chris Sale is dealing right now. Good hard fastball coming from a pitch delivery that's a little tough to pick up, coming from the side a little bit. Nasty slider, good changeup too.
And a breaking ball that comes back and does it. So he's struck out 5 of the 6 batters that he has faced so far, and Sale is another victim, and it was the breaking ball as well. We breezed through 2 innings. Still no score. Dodgers and White Sox. So far has been a pitching game. Both pitchers have been right on the money. There's been one base runner of the game. That was by the White Sox in the first inning by Lillibridge. Here's Trace Thompson starting it off. He'll be followed by Eduardo Escobar. And then at the top of the order again, Diaza. Thompson, one of those bright young people that you look at and you say, well, where did it originate? Well, for those in Los Angeles, you can understand, well, for Trace, he is the son of Michael Thompson, former NBA player who was part of those many of the championship Laker teams. So a chance for Trace. He was a late addition with the injury, sore Achilles tendon by Alex Rios just about 20 minutes prior to the game. Trace 6'4", White Sox number 2 pick, 2009 out of Santa Margarita High School.
Does that mean he can't jump like his father used to be able?
Oh my goodness,
he could jump out of the gym. You figure if Trace had those kind of abilities, he might be playing basketball instead of baseball.
Ellis, the backhand, and a nice play. Harang made a stab at it, but Ellis hits the first ground ball, and there's out number 1.
It's the final spring training matchup between these two teams. The Dodgers are 4-0 against the White Sox so far this spring.
Of course, they share this magnificent complex, which last week the Dodgers back-to-back days set all-time records for attendance in any Cactus League game played at any time. Over 13,000. Escobar tried to bunt his way aboard, fouls it off, switch hitter. Batting in the 9 spot. And he is really in contention for possibly the last roster spot, a position player. Thoroughly jammed. Ellis going to have to hurry, and no chance.
And that's why he probably will be the guy that makes the club as the last guy off of the bench there because of his speed and defense. You see him just nub that one up the middle, but Mark Ellis had no chance of throwing him out because this guy's so fast down the line.
You know, that's a base hit, but really both guys did their job. Both Harang, who thoroughly jammed the hitter, and Escobar, who was able to keep his fingers out of the flight of the baseball, and he winds up with a base hit. Three stolen bases by Escobar. A couple of times he has been nailed. Here's Diaz, the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're a guy fighting to make a club and you think speed is one of your attributes, but you've stolen 3 and gotten caught twice, you better make sure you get a really good jump the next time you try it. Because you don't want to be known as a guy, yeah, I have pretty good speed, but I get thrown out as many times as I steal bases.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. We think back to Diaz. He was a guy that came on and everybody's talking about, well, blinding speed. I think that focus now has been moved to D. Gordon in that category, blinding speed. But Diaz was on the Marlins opening day roster 2007. And he began his career at the major league level, an 8-game hitting streak, and then he injured his ankle. Fields in left, and he had to stay with that one. 2 down.
Ball just continues to carry out there, and you think you got a beat on it, and it just keeps going and going and going, and you find yourself turning around chasing it to the wall.
Lillibridge is the hitter. Okay, what about the younger players that are coming on? When they came into camp, they knew they did not have a big window of opportunity, along with veterans who are trying to hang on, but that window for many of the younger players is beginning to diminish.
Yeah, no question. This is the part of the spring where guys that they got to come up here, had a chance to maybe make an impression. Most of those guys knew they probably weren't going to make the club anyway. But one of the best things you can do as a young player is come up, show them what you can do so that when there is a need at the minor league level, someone remembers you. And they say, oh, yeah, that guy, he had a great spring. He did a really good job for us, did everything we asked of him. And now all of a sudden we have, one of our big league players goes down. That's the guy they think of first.
Lillibridge had a single in the first to center. Pitch out, but not biting was Escobar, who stayed at first base. The other part of it is it's not just the games that are being played. For example, Maury Wills has people beginning to bunt here at Camelback Ranch Glendale at 8:30 in the morning. Some of the catchers are here at 7:15 in the morning working on fundamentals. And then everyone in uniform by 9 o'clock. But the work begins well before officially. And there's Steve Yeager in the middle, former Dodger all-star catcher, working with those catchers.
Which is great to have him back in uniform, because catching is really the hardest position to get great instruction at. And there's a lot of teams that don't really have a coach that was a former catcher that can help you.
Well, Yeager is working, and one of the things we'll talk about in the next inning with the Dodgers are defense, of what he has specifically been working with A.J. Ellis. And A.J. has responded, and Yeager says there's no one in camp who will work harder than A.J. Ellis. But just little nuances. But whether it's the batting cage with Dave Hansen early in the morning, or in the pit, as they refer to it, with Maury Wills, bunting or working on the base running, there's much more work than what you will read about or hear about.
Well, I'm convinced that you don't win a world championship unless you have a major league coaching staff that wants to help its players get better at the major league level. And that may sound strange, but you know, the Atlanta Braves, when I was on the Atlanta Braves in 1992, they started that big run of 14 straight playoff appearances because they had a great working coaching staff.
And for Harang, a great working control of the strike zone. So he has 3 strikeouts. There have been already 8 batters struck out in this ball game. No score in Arizona. Rick Monday, along with Steve Lyons from Camelback Ranch, Glendale, has been mostly pitching so far. As Juan Uribe will start it off. Shirt sleeve crowd here this afternoon. We're mentioning that the projection was temperatures somewhere in the low 90s possibly. Uribe followed by A.J. Ellis and then Aaron Harang. Kind of a strange spring for Uribe. Going to get 219, no home runs. He's knocked in just 3 runs and has just 2 doubles.
Well, that's not going to cut it, and I think there's more pressure on Juan Uribe than there is on any other Dodger coming back this season. There's no question that he had a subpar year last year, signed a nice contract to come to play to this team, and he came with a pretty good pedigree after playing on a World Series team in San Francisco and being one of the mainstays in that lineup that did damage. Last year he had some injury issues, which, you know, as you know, Rick, you know, some people don't really take into consideration. When you're hurt, you're just not going to play your best. But this guy has got to come back and play better than he did last year.
So Uribe fouls it off. One thing about Juan Uribe, he does not really alter the swing regardless of the count, the score, the pitcher. Remarkably enough, he struck out just 7 times in 32 at-bats so far this spring. Escobar to first, and there is 1 down. You know, folks, since 1962, Dodger Stadium has been an iconic Los Angeles landmark, and this year marks the 50th anniversary. And Saturday, April 14th, you can take home a piece of history with your very own Dodger Stadium replica commemorating opening day 1962. That's presented by State Farm. If you'd like to find out more about tickets, just go online to Dodgers.com/promotions. One down, and A.J. Ellis, who's had a fine spring, takes a strike 0-1. A.J. at a 278 average. He has been a hitter that has made pretty good contact throughout his career, maybe not for the average, but put the ball into play. And they are very happy to see what he has done thus far offensively. Defense is basically his calling card.
AJ down here's 4 doubles, a home run, got some RBIs, hitting right around 280. The Dodgers would be ecstatic with those type of numbers if they stretched out during the entire season.
You know, the other thing that he's been able to do, we talk about making contact. A.J. Ellis in the spring, and granted it's spring, he struck out 5 times, walked 7 times, so fewer strikeouts than walks. So he knows the strike zone. He has shown discipline. And he works the count here, full 3-2.
Let's face it, hitting 8th in a National League lineup is the hardest place to hit. You're not sure necessarily if they're going after you or going to pitch around you to get to the pitcher, but your job is to make sure the pitcher comes to the plate during your inning. You don't want to ever make the last out as the number 8 hitter and have the pitcher lead off the next inning.
So A.J. Ellis was behind in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Laid off a couple of pitches, fouled one off, moves it full to 3-2, and then gets the single. So indeed has made contact. Here's been Aaron Harang, who gives you a somewhat liberal strike zone. Standing at 6'7" to begin with. He had already shown bunt. And a pickoff by Sale, that was more of a fact-finding mission. And the fact that they found is Harang indeed was going to square around and bunt.
Aaron should be trying to get this down the first base line.
Third baseman. Escobar comes in. He had ideas, but he was on the full run, and there was no way to go to second. So Harang, it was not textbook, didn't go to first. He went to third, but it worked.
That is the danger, and obviously in that situation, sometimes the pitcher's just trying to get it down any way they can, but you try to bunt the ball to the first base side because the first baseman has to hold the runner on. Escobar doesn't have to do anything, and that's why he came charging in there. Thought about going to second with it, and that's the mistake you can make by bunting it to the third base side. You end up getting an out at second and not moving the guy along. He decided to go ahead and go to first, and everything worked out fine.
D. Gordon, one of the 5 strikeouts by Sale here this afternoon, coming in and a runner in scoring position. Good breaking ball again. Boy, he has been right on the money with that curveball today. We mentioned earlier in talking with Steve Stone, one of the broadcasters, along with Ken Harrelson for the White Sox, a much improved changeup on this young lefty as well. Here's an interesting situation also for Tim Wallach, the third base coach. D. Gordon's not known for power. A.J. Ellis is not known for his speed, and the outfield has shortened up, and even shortening up more, Viciedo in left field. So indeed important to get that, what they refer to as the secondary lead. And that shot from center field to get a pretty good idea, Steve, of the secondary lead of A.J. Ellis. Not the fastest, but he is a thinking type runner.
You have to be very aggressive out there. There's 2 outs, so you know you're going at the crack of the bat.
Ramirez, and they get the speedy D. Gordon. The Dodgers do get a hit. They get their first runner on base of the afternoon, but he is left in scoring position. We've gone through 3 innings in Glendale so far. It's pitching and sunshine. And the thoughts of a youngster at the ballpark with Dad, and he came prepared with a bat just about the right size. And there's part of the group who was on the plane coming over from Los Angeles with Steve Lyons this morning.
Probably is.
Well, the Valley of the Sun has filled up. We're in the final week of spring training, and again, 1 week from today, the Dodgers in San Diego will kick off officially the 2012 season. Gordon Beckham, Adam Dunn, and then Alexei Ramirez to face Harang. Harang has struck out 3. He's given up 2 hits, one of those an infield single. Uribe fielded nicely. There's one down. Designated hitter Adam Dunn. We talked about A.J. Ellis a little early. We talked about him last week as well. And showing Steve Yeager as Uribe goes over for the shift with Dunn. But a couple of different things, Steve, for A.J. Ellis. One hand position with the glove, the target. Yeager said, look, relax the wrist a little bit more. And the other part, too, is that A.J. making sure that he gets the weight out on the balls of his feet, not back on the heels. And elbow position, so he can field balls. So just little nuances in working on different things.
It's amazing how many different ways there are to do things, and sometimes it's a matter of like, no one ever told me that before. And D. Gordon's in the exact same situation. He said, I've been an athlete my whole life, but no one's really taught me how to play the position, and that's why I think I'm making fewer errors now. He's really paid a lot more attention to instruction.
Good pitch by Harang, had Dunn tied up, but that touches upon how important coaching staffs are, because many times we assume that players who have reached this level understand everything.
Right. And I think D's a classic example. He said, look, I was a basketball player. I've been a great athlete. They threw me over to play shortstop because I could run fast. But did anyone really teach me how to play the position? He said, no, I just went out there and did it.
And D will be the first one to tell you that he was making errors on the routine plays more than on the difficult plays. And the biggest thing that they've got D. Gordon to understand is to get your feet up underneath you as you're receiving the ball, about to receive the ball, to collect your feet so you can get in position to field the ball, A, and B, then go ahead and throw it.
Yeah, an arm angle he had issues with.
Good pitch and done. The 4 strikeout pitcher. So there's 9 strikeouts in the game. Harang with 4. Sale with 5. And it's not been a good afternoon for hitters.
It's be tough to see up there. That's just a fastball right down Broadway that Dunn swings right through.
And 2 down, Alexei Ramirez. So Davaris Gordon at shortstop.
Oh!
Well, it's spring training for the fans as well, but the degree of difficulty.
The one kid missed it with his glove. The other guy's going to get it with his polo stick. What is that thing? Is it his cane?
It looks like it's his cane.
Oh, yeah, a cane, I guess. Well, he made an effort with the cane to drag that thing back in, but his buddy's sitting right there with a glove and everything. Nothing. Good thing they protected that little girl right there in the corner, though. It didn't hit her.
One ball and 1 strike. The guys missed the ball, but they came the right way to the stadium. Bring a glove.
Yeah. It hurts when you miss it if you're not wearing a glove.
And when you are wearing a glove and you miss it, it hurts more.
The pride.
Especially from the rows behind you.
Better bring your earplugs, too.
Late swing. Harang, we talked earlier, is that Dusty Baker said, look, he throws right-handed batters away on the outside corner, and that was a last desperation by Ramirez to even hit that ball out away from him. Breaking ball.
Great thing we're
sky.
seeing. Pinpoint control so far out of these guys.
3 up and 3 down. They might extend the afternoon. Hitters may say, hey, wait a minute. This is a long afternoon. Opening days 1 week away. No score, only 3 hits, and lots of decisions have to be made around Major League Baseball as far as finally cutting down to that 25-man roster that will be ready for opening day. On the grassy area, enjoying the sunshine, not a care in the world.
It's the next Matt Kemp.
And running around the bases, but wrong direction.
Half of it's uphill.
Bottom half of the 4th inning, and Mark Ellis, one of the 5 strikeout victims over the first 2 innings by Sale, takes a strike.
Well, both managers have to be very impressed with their pitchers that they're seeing today. Pinpoint control, very efficient as far as their pitches, getting early outs, and a lot of strikeouts.
So Sale, that moved from the bullpen last year, and again is the rookie, with 58 games and an earned run average just below 2.8. Very impressive numbers. And Robert Ventura and company, along with his pitching coach Don Cooper, said, look, we want this guy in our starting rotation. To center, there is one down. Well, Ventura also kept it a secret, officially a secret, until yesterday, when he finally did name John Banks as their opening day pitcher. It was a foregone conclusion, but Ventura finally finalized it, if you will, publicly just yesterday.
Was he the last to know?
Ventura or Danks?
I'm pretty sure everyone knew, including Ventura. I guess he doesn't want to let the cat out of the bag too early. You know, in spring training, competition within the club is good. Obviously, everybody in the world knew that Clayton Kershaw was going to be the opening day starter. Even Mattingly named him the opening day starter before spring training started last season. But maybe Ventura wanted to see some guys go out there and think that they may have a chance to be the opening day guy.
Kemp takes a strike, and quickly out in front, Sale 0-2. Matt now about to enter his 6th full major league season, coming off a monstrous year. And for Sale, gets him to the second time with a breaking ball inside and off the plate, and 6 punch-outs for the young left-hander.
I'll tell you what, some of these Dodgers better be taking some notes on this. The Dodgers will play the Chicago White Sox in interleague play this year. 15th, 16th, 17th of June. The White Sox will be coming to Dodger Stadium, and good chance you're going to see Sale again. Better put into your little notebook what this guy throws.
Ron Rivera steps in, and for Rivera, one of the big additions of his Dodger ball club last year, he provided some extra security, if you will, put in that lineup behind Matt Kemp, in particular against left-handed pitching. Andre Ethier was there most of the time in that 4 spot against right-handers. Over the head of Viciedo. As Steve, you touched upon it a little bit earlier, Viciedo takes a seat on the warning track, and Rivera winds up with his 3rd double, and that was a rocket hit over the head of the left fielder.
Well, clearly this is a ball that probably should have been caught, but it was hit right at him in left field, and those are the toughest to judge, so he couldn't tell exactly where it was going to go. And then, as we talked about earlier, the ball does carry really well out there, and then you get to the point where you just want to bring out the dancing bears, right? I mean, that was pretty much a circus out there the whole time.
So Rivera, you can't hit a ball much harder than that and have it stay in the ballpark. If it's elevated, it's gone. He winds up with a double, and here's Andre Ethier.
Oh, hopefully the Dodgers can take advantage of a 2-out mistake right there.
Well, for Viciedo, we touched upon it earlier. Defense, well, it's a thrill a minute at times.
His best position is his bat.
And that's exactly what we had heard. He said, well, where does he fit in best? He goes with the bat. That's just about it. But if you can hit, they're going to find a place for you many, many times.
Well, we know that there's tons of major league teams out there that will sacrifice defense for offense. And the Dodgers are in a similar situation. Juan Rivera is not an outstanding defensive left fielder, but he's going to be running out there. He's average. I would say he's better than what we're seeing in left field from the White Sox. Same thing with Adam Dunn when he was a left fielder. Yep. As a left fielder, he was a great DH. And
the other advantage that Rivera has is he can play first base, as he is here this afternoon.
I'll tell you, Juan Rivera, his career has been very much noted as a second-half player. Struggles a little in the first half, really turns it up a notch in the second half. The Dodgers saw that last year. I really enjoy him. He doesn't speak very much. He doesn't have a real good command of English, so he's a little nervous about speaking in English. And the Latin players tell me that even in Spanish, he's a very quiet, I'm going to show up, do my job kind of guy, and go back home. Just a real quiet guy who likes to show up, play baseball, and get out of here.
Ground ball, broken bat, Ramirez, and that'll do it. And by a step, they get him. So a 2-out double by Juan Rivera, who continues to hit well in the spring. The Dodgers are turned away with a runner on base. We go to the fifth, still looking for the first run here in Glendale. No score as we go to the top of the fifth inning. A reminder, we'll be back here with you again tomorrow. The Dodgers entertaining the Milwaukee Brewers right here on Camelback Vision. Airtime at 1, first pitch 1:05. Chris Capuano will start for the Dodgers against Francisco Rodriguez and the Milwaukee Brewers. Aaron Harang has had a very good afternoon and making his fifth start of the spring. Record of 1-1. Which is really those numbers, you kind of put them to the side. The wins, the losses, the earned run averages, how many walks, what's the control, what's the command of the different pitches. And Harang has been very impressive. Ellis making short work of it. And there is one down. Folks, you can celebrate the 50th anniversary of Dodger Stadium is presented by State Farm with the Dodger Stadium Greats Bobblehead Series mini plan. Now it includes all 10 bobblehead games featuring Dodger players and personalities like Sandy Koufax and Vin Scully. Like more information, visit Dodgers.com/mini plans or pick up the phone and call 323-224-1365. Desieto takes outside. A strikeout victim looking his first time up here this afternoon. Broken bat. And you trade some lumber for a base hit. And as far as hitters are concerned, Steve, that's not a bad trade.
They'll do it every time, won't they?
So 1-out single. And here is Trace Thompson.
That's interesting, the pitching matchup tomorrow that you were mentioning. Francisco Rodriguez, we're talking K-Rod right there. Is he making a start in that game? Maybe they have to get him some innings?
Well, that's a way of guaranteeing that you will get in the ball game, have him start the game, and you have all the time in the world that you want to get loose.
Nasty
stuff. So here's Trace Thompson. Of course, we mentioned that Trace is the son of former NBA, right, Michael Thompson. And a good segue into a teammate of Michael Thompson's, that being Magic Johnson. Of course, everyone now knows that just a couple of nights ago it was finally broken that officially the Guggenheim Baseball Management agreement with Frank McCourt to purchase the Dodgers. So Magic Johnson along with Stan Kasten, who's an interesting mix in that blend, because Stan, of course, for those that maybe not realizing it, former president of the Washington Nationals and the Atlanta Braves, just the two baseball teams, and also ran the Hawks, part of that group as well.
Yeah, obviously speculation at this point, but I got to think Stan Kasten will be the baseball man that runs the ball club. Mark Walter, the guy with the money behind the ball club, it seems like. And Magic Johnson, I'm sure he's got a ton of dough in it as well. But you talk about a great marketer, a guy who brings enthusiasm, a guy who is an ex-athlete, a guy who is just, and plus a master businessman as well. I mean, Magic Johnson has done so well off the court. The excitement around LA right now is top-notch.
1-2. And it gets away and gets past A.J. Ellis, and that is a conversation waiting to take place between A.J. Ellis and Steve Yeager, and they will look at videotape a little bit later. Now, it was a wild pitch, but one of the things that they've talked also with A.J. is with runners on base, get the caboose, the backside, up a little bit higher, and making sure that you get positioned that if you cannot shift your feet quickly enough, at least be able to reach across your body. So the little things in spring training, and that's something they will look at the videotape a little bit later on. But a wild pitch on Aaron Harang.
You know, really the only time a catcher shouldn't block a ball like that, and I'm not saying that it's not hard, because it is. It's one of the hardest, it's the hardest position to play. But a ball should never go back to a screen unless you got crossed up.
2-2 pitch. Fouled off.
And for people that don't know what I'm talking about, if I'm a pitcher and I'm expecting a fastball and I get a slider instead, a ball that's going to break maybe a foot farther to my right, and I can't reach it because I don't have time to react to it, then you can understand how a ball might get by you. But if you know the pitch that's coming and it's just a poorly thrown pitch, it's your job to block that ball. And A.J. usually does an excellent job.
Foul ball. It's more than just games in spring training. Oh, the manager and coaches are still trying to find out about their personnel, who's going to be making changes, which club is going to have this player who might be available for other teams as well. I mean, you're also scouting other teams in case someone becomes available. It doesn't make their roster. But it's a learning situation on a daily basis, and you can take the extra time here, at least one more week, and then it all counts. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Thompson, as we mentioned, in the early going of his career, and they hope it's going to be a dandy career. Very athletic.
He looks like an athlete, doesn't he?
Well, he's 6'4", 200.
Going to do nothing but get bigger and stronger as he gets older.
And drafted, and we mentioned before, out of high school, 2009. Last year, in the Sally League, 136 games. The average wasn't really where he wanted it at 241, but at the young age had 24 home runs. He goes after a breaking ball, and Harang registers his 5th strikeout, and he does this one with a runner at second base, 2 down.
Big out right there for Aaron Harang, not letting the guy from second advance any further. Still looking at a 0-0 game. Whoever pushes the first run across is going to be a big one.
Oh, Escobar was jammed on a pitch, had an infield single his first time up. And he went looking and ducking and watching on that breaking ball. 0-1 to count. Mentioned earlier that Escobar trying to maybe fight for that last roster spot with the White Sox. He's doing a pretty good job making a big fight, hitting at .395 as he started today. Breaking ball again, 1-1. For many players, this is the period of time where you're beginning to come out of the doldrums. The last 4 or 5 days have been somewhat boring. Ground ball, Ellis No play at first, but he stops the run by making sure that he fields the ball. And second infield single by Escobar. And we saw another dimension right there, Mark Ellis, Steve, and that's the thought process that takes place.
Yeah, good heads-up play right there, throwing the ball to third automatically. He knew he couldn't get the out at first. He threw the ball to third because he knew Uribe would be waiting for it. He was just hoping that the runner might take a couple extra steps around third base, thinking that he might be able to score, and if he did, he'd have been out. Good job by everybody over there as far as the White Sox are concerned to make sure that everyone just held up. Viciedo didn't go too far off the bag, hung around, and now they have first and third.
And Diazu's flying out to left field twice today. Outside, ball one. So the White Sox, as we mentioned, they open their season in Texas against the Rangers, the defending American League champions. 1 week from tomorrow, John Danks pitching for Robin Ventura's ball club. First and third, 2 down, no score in the 5th inning. And now there is a 1-0 lead by the White Sox. The third hit of this inning. Orang had been on a roll and winds up with 3 hits and 1 run thus far, and Lillibridge will try to add to the damage.
Well, really an excellent job by the White Sox hitters. When you think about every hit was either up the middle or to the opposite field. They started thinking about sitting back and trying to just wait and see the ball a little bit longer against Orang. We've seen all the strikeouts in the game today, and Piazza just drops it into left field. They finally strung together 3 singles in 1 inning and able to score a run.
Lillibridge, who was a house of fire when scouts were looking at him, trying to face Harang now. Lillibridge in high school, 3.7 GPA, and he sends the ball down the right field line. That is foul. And on top of it, Lillibridge, talk about opening up some eyes, had a high school batting average in his career of .420. University of Washington, a major in anthropology.
Smart and good. There's not a lot of those guys, really. You're either one or the other.
5'11", 185. Drafted by the Pirates in 2005 in their 4th round.
Reading recently the article in Sports Illustrated about R.A. Dickey, the lone knuckleballer now left in Major League Baseball for the Mets. He's now a published author. Very well-read gentleman himself.
Gordon to second, and they get the speedy Diaza going into second base, but a run across on 3 hits, 2 runners left. And the White Sox touch pay dirt first. 1-0 Chicago. Dodgers trying to get the hits together with more frequency, limited to just 2 so far by young left-hander Chris Sale. As the White Sox take the lead with a run in the top half of the 5th, and a leadoff single, first pitch to Josh Fields. And Fields, a strikeout victim on a curveball looking in the 2nd inning. Wastes little time, and a good adjustment goes the opposite way. Very quickly, we talked about, Steve, the managers and coaches trying to make decisions. An update on Ted Lilly. Dodger left-hander is going to be in their starting rotation in their starting 5, but he has been sidelined with stiffness in his neck. And Don Mattingly saying, well, he wanted to throw today, he being Ted Lilly. They held off. He will throw tomorrow. But there's still some big questions exactly how well he feels, how he's going to feel after he throws on the side tomorrow, and is he going to be available to begin the season on the opening day as far as the roster?
He's going to throw on the side, not in a game, correct? Yeah. It's kind of an unspecific injury, too. Nobody really knows what's going on back there. Calling it a neck issue.
And talking with Ted yesterday morning, he said he's not concerned about the injury or the stiffness. He is frustrated by it. But that's the athlete's view of, well, I'm frustrated. Concerned? Well, it's getting close to that time because the Dodgers had really put tomorrow as the deadline to know something. So tomorrow's venture in the bullpen by Ted Lilly might dictate if he begins the season on the disabled list or not.
The Dodgers will then, of course, use all 5 of the starters, considering if you're thinking of Ted Lilly being one of those. And they'll use their off days if they decide to not have to use a 5th starter. If they have to put Ted Lilly on the DL, then somebody else will come up. Nathan Eovaldi, someone like that. Well, he's had a nice spring.
Line drive, base hit, right center field, and Fields will go over to third base as they gave Juan Uribe the green light, 3 balls and no strikes, and runners at the corners.
Might be the best pitch you're going to see all day, and Juan Uribe finally tattooed that thing the other way. Got it up over the second baseman's head. This is nice right here. 1st and 3rd. This is what the Dodgers needed in this inning to get things going.
So again, the Dodgers are not using the designated hitter. The White Sox are, and I bring that to a point because, as you alluded to earlier, hitting in the number 8 spot is difficult because if you look on deck, there's Aaron Harang. So for Ellis, trying to stay out of the double play, trying to get the tying run in from third.
I think this is where you go through that thought process. If you are the 8 hitter, are they going to come after me right now? Are they going to pitch around me and worry about Harang hitting behind me? This is one of those situations where they pretty much have to go at you because there's guys on base. You're not bunting. A double play doesn't get you out of the inning, so you got to go up there and get a good pitch to hit.
And a foul ball. Say one thing about Sale. He came inside right there. This young man has had a terrific afternoon so far with late movement on his pitches. His breaking ball has been right on top of it. And right now, A.J. Ellis watching very closely Tim Wallach, the third base coach, for any possible signs.
This is where they talked about Sale will use a pitch that he didn't use all that much as a reliever, his changeup. They say he has a good one. This is a good spot for it.
A couple of other injuries to talk about with the Dodgers. Ande Jesus Jr. continues to progress. He's getting better and better every day. Matt Guerrier came out of a minor league game yesterday very well, so his arm feels okay. There's called strike 2. Sale has been most impressive.
They have not been able to figure out his breaking ball at all today.
And staying off of that pitch in the dirt, 2-2. One other update on injuries. Adam Kennedy is doing better. He's doing all of the baseball activities with the exception of running, and that's only precautionary. So there's a possibility we may see Adam Kennedy as a pinch hitter sometime in this game. That'll get the job done. So Ellis, who had singled in the third, knocks in the tying run with a sacrifice fly. He did it with 2 strikes, and he made contact and was patient.
Excellent at-bat by A.J. against a guy that we've seen all day long. Has been dazzling out there on the mound. The Dodgers may be starting to figure him out a little bit. That ball hit hard into the outfield, drives in the run.
Harang, who laid down a sacrifice bunt in his first time, and with 1 out, you would expect that's the case. It's going to require maybe a better bunt with Uribe, the runner, over at first base. Boy, spring training. The idea and the man that was given credit for coming up with spring training go back a lot of years. Cap Anson, back in 1887, took his then Chicago White Stockings to Hot Springs, Arkansas. When Anson was the manager, of course, Cap Anson.
Who'd they play against?
Well, they just went to the Hot Springs because that's what spring training was, to get into shape, not refine everything.
Then everyone else decided to follow suit, huh?
Cap Anson, by the way, had a 27-year major league career. Was the first player to collect 3,000 hits in a career. 3,435 to be exact. Inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame 1939 by Cap Anson. How about this? You talk about longevity. He had in his major league career over 11,000 plate appearances.
Oh, that would be nice.
But he's given credit for the idea, the theory of taking your ball club somewhere to get into shape prior to the season. 1887 in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Two and one to Harang. And he will get the sacrifice bunt down for the second time this afternoon. And Steve, here's why Don Mattingly does not want to use the designated hitter right now. He wants his pitchers to get into the theme song that they will be facing during the regular season.
Got to get the job done. Got to do your work as a pitcher. That can mean the difference. You're talking about a 1-1 ball game right now. If you're the pitcher that can get a bunt down, D. Gordon comes up and drives them in. Could be the difference in the ball game. Pitchers can win and lose games with their at-bats.
Here's an interesting spot with D. Gordon. Okay, you have the go-ahead run at second base. I say interesting because Lillibridge over at first base is playing well behind the bag. And we've talked about the bunts and the speed of D. Gordon. If he bunts to first, nobody can get him. Gordon, by the way, looking for his first run batted in.
This is the situation you talked about earlier in the ball game with Uribe at second base. He needs to get an enormous secondary lead.
Well, there are high school teams that play more deeply in left field than what the White Sox are right now.
And center and right. I'll tell you what, though, we've seen D juice a couple balls. He can hit it over your head, but not often. And I would do the exact same thing. I would challenge D. Gordon to hit the ball over my head. Look at them defensively. Nobody playing very deep in the outfield. D kind of just flips the ball out there. We've seen him hit the ball real hard a couple times here in spring training, challenging the warning track.
Big breaking ball, then a wild pitch, and 90 feet. Juan Uribe goes.
That changes things now.
Changes things now, and you have to kind of say to yourself as a hitter, well, that might be a pitch he wants to stay away from.
There's that ball down in the dirt. There's the movement that you talked about before, Mo, with the catchers having to really shift out and get out there and try to block that pitch. Well, that was a tough one to do anyway. Ooh.
Splintered wood. I don't think Sale has seen
I don't
that
think he saw it either
yet. And it was not that far from him as he made the move over, and D. Gordon will trade in what is now a sword in his hands.
It's a good thing the bat got out there quicker than Sale got off the mound, because I don't think he saw it at all.
We have talked over the last number of years about maple bats, the way they break. There's no grain to them, no uniform grain. It is an ongoing study that Major League Baseball has. They did come out with some results in saying that the percentage of bats, maple bats that are breaking now, has been reduced. Nice play at first, so D. Gordon hit it hard and has nothing to show for it. The Dodgers have a run to show for it on a sac fly by A.J. Ellis. Through 5, we're tied at 1. With all the scoring in the 5th inning, a 1-1 tie as we go to the 6th. Want to remind you can stay warm at the stadium and at home. Your Dodgers 50th anniversary sleeve blanket presented by Natural Balance Pet Foods. Join the Dodgers on Tuesday, April 24th and take home your very own sleeved blanket. Like tickets, Dodgers.com/promotions.
You need that sleeved blanket early in the season, don't you?
Well,
it's a little chilly.
That's one of the areas that it was projected to be about 91 here today. It'll be a little bit cooler in California. Beckham was 0 for 2, takes outside ball 1. Ring has had a very good afternoon. It's been a good afternoon for pitching. And some hitters have had to battle and battle. Big Aaron Harang. This is outside 3-0. Harang has not walked a batter. He struck out 5. 1 wild pitch. So his numbers: 1 run on 5 hits. Chris Sale for the White Sox, 1 run on 4 hits he's allowed. And there's a leadoff walk, and that is never good, whether it's spring training or during the regular season.
Harang in his last outing had a nice one as well against the Royals. He went 5 innings, gave up just 1 run. Pretty much the same situation he's in right now, but as you talked about, the leadoff walk.
Well, Harang is going to give way at some time. We're going to see Josh Lindblom, Ronald Belisario, and Scott Rice, the left-hander, also scheduled to see some action here this afternoon. Dunn takes a strike. He has struck out twice, and a pinch runner coming on for the White Sox. And the runner's going on a high pitch, and a good throw by Ellis, and it's just in time. Well, of all the things the Dodgers have been working on, and Steve Yeager with A.J. Ellis, Yeager says that Ellis is quick, and boy, that throw is right on the money again.
And that wasn't a bad pitch to throw because it was up, but it was a changeup, so it doesn't get there all that quickly. And the thing that I noticed great about A.J. Ellis, watch where he goes after he throws it. He's going to throw the ball and now hustle down the third base line to make sure that there was someone covering third base because of the shift.
Dunn slams one, And that's going to drop in front of Andre Ethier. You had no chance at all to catch that one with topspin.
It's another one of those balls, as you talked about. If there wasn't any topspin, if you had backspin on that ball, it's still going somewhere.
Yeah, on Interstate 10. So a runner at first, one down, Alexei Ramirez. 0 for 2. He's lined as short weakly and also flied out to left field. Yeah, good off-speed pitch. 0-1. Very quickly and out in front of Ramirez. They'd like to see Alexei Ramirez maybe show a little bit more discipline at times at home plate. Which, oddly enough, Adam Dunn, even though he's the big slugger, there are some that believe that Adam Dunn takes too many pitches and takes too many walks.
You just can't make some people happy.
Isn't that the truth?
Well, Ramirez, as we talked about, was a Cuban defector. And a lot of the Latin players we know, they love to swing the bat.
And he can swing it, hits this one foul. We mentioned that Ramirez was making $20 a month on the Cuban national team. Played in the 2006 World Baseball Classic when Cuba finished second to Japan that year. Just a fabulously talented young player. And a very flashy shortstop. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ramirez is one of those guys where you say a lot of flash at short, but it was the routine play that was causing him more trouble than the difficult play. First couple of years at the big league level.
You hear that a lot about guys. Why do you think that is?
Popped up. Tough play. Mark Ellis makes the run and the catch. No one standing at first, however. But backing up, the ever-present A.J. Ellis, 2 down. You know, in answer to your question, some people will say, well, the hard play eliminates the thought process.
Yep.
It's strictly reactionary. It's strictly skill.
And I think with those guys who can make the great play, we tend to remember those, even though they sometimes make errors on those plays as well. And then when they kind of boot a routine ball, and we all have, that one sticks out in our minds a little bit more because we're like, how can that guy make the great play, but then he messes up on that one.
But the thought process that happens, I am reminded of a story that Tom Lasorda tells about Pedro Guerrero. He was playing third base for the Dodgers, and he was in a tough stretch defensively. As Flowers takes a strike 0-1. And Tommy asked Pedro, he says, Pete, before the ball is hit, what are you thinking down there? He says, well, I'm thinking 2 things. He says, what are they? He says, well, I hope they don't hit the ball to me. And Tommy says, what's the other? He says, I hope they don't hit it over second base where Saxey is either. And one of the few times that Tommy did not really have an answer at that moment.
If you're a player and you're hoping the ball doesn't get hit to you, that's the first step into trouble.
You know, you bring up a good point too, because quite frankly, the guys on defense have to be saying to themselves right now, I dare you to hit it this way.
Yep. Hit it to me, hit it to me. I had the same conversation with Robin Ventura, and I went through it, and I actually didn't realize you could go through a fielding slump until I was in one. Just, I got to the point where I had 2 errors in the 3rd inning. I didn't want him to hit the ball to me anymore. I didn't want 3 errors in a game. And Robin Ventura had a season where he was an excellent defensive third baseman. Dodger fans remember him. Great years with the White Sox. And he had a year where he was just booting everything early on. And I went to go do a game there. I'm like, what's up? Or how have you fixed it? He said, and this you can't take this literally, but he said, I stopped caring about it. Stopped thinking about it. I became an athlete again. It just wasn't in the back of my mind all the time that I was going to miss one. And when I stopped worrying about not catching it, I started catching it again.
Well, Ventura did the same thing as a hitter because he began his major league career, I think, 4 for 41.
0 for 41.
Was it 0 for 41?
I watched him do it.
Well, for Aaron Harang, he gives up the leadoff walk on 4 pitches. He gets right back on track. A base hit, a man left. We're still tied at 1. Not much hitting, not much scoring, and a very well pitched game by both ball clubs here. 1-1 tie, bottom half of the 6th inning. A couple of changes defensively for the White Sox. At shortstop and taking over is Ray Almedo. And Eric Morrison is now at second base. And Mark Ellis could care less who's out there. Ellis 0 for 2, and he leads it off. He'll be followed by Matt Kemp and then Juan Rivera. Camelback Vision again tomorrow. Reminder, 1:05 first pitch as the Milwaukee Brewers will be into town. Chris Capuano against Francisco Rodriguez in that matchup. We'll be on the air Rick Monday along with Steve Lyons. Almeida gets challenged. We find out if he's thinking, hit the ball to me, I dare you. He answers the question, 1 down.
Looks pretty comfortable, didn't he?
Steve, this is one of those days that both sides, both managers, both ball clubs have to feel very good about the way their pitching has gone, the way this game has been played. It has been a tough afternoon. The types of pitches and good location by the pitchers for the hitters to hit. And it has been a tough day for Matt Kemp, who struck out twice so far.
Yeah, I think you sit back and you're happy with your pitching effort and not quite as happy with your offensive output. You know how we like to have it all. You know, hey, my pitcher was really good out there. Well, the other pitcher was really good out there, too, and that's why your offense wasn't so strong.
Well, Matt Kemp will vouch for the fact that Chris Sale has been very good. Struck him out twice and has him 0-2 here, and I make it 3 times, and all 3 times on a breaking ball in.
Really had Matty's number. We saw a few seasons ago that was the pitch that Matt Kemp would chase all season long. Then he got to the point where he figured it out, would just spit on that pitch, and that's when he became a megastar.
7 strikeouts for Sale, and the 3rd time he's gotten Matt Kemp. And Juan Rivera will now bat. He is doubled and fouled out.
I would love for any baseball fan to get the opportunity to stand in and see what a nasty slider looks like. Because I think a lot of people say, well, how can you swing at that pitch? It's a bad pitch. It's in the dirt. Every player will tell you, you know, when I started to swing at it, it really looked like a knee-high fastball that I was going to crush.
And you know, they really need to see 2 of those.
Yeah.
Because the first one you don't believe. The second one will make you a believer.
Yeah, and show me the fastball first, too, the one that you thought you would have hit.
2 balls and 1 strike. It's like the old line was, well, somebody came out years ago and said, oh, the curveballs is an illusion. Yeah, get a bat. I'll show you what an illusion is.
Yeah. Tell me you're not ducking.
3 balls and 1 strike.
I used to know a guy would have a great slider after I swung at a pitch that I thought was a fastball. And I'd be like, wow, that was a good slider right there.
Sharply hit. Boy, and it came up on Escobar. Picks it up and throws and still has it. Well, Ron Rivera is not the speediest of runners, and a good recovery by Escobar, who will probably have a little bruise on his left shoulder when the game is over. 3 up, 3 down to the 7th we have. Tied at 1. One tie, top of the 7th inning. That large building out beyond Camelback Ranch, Glendale, the football home of the Arizona Cardinal. Boy, good afternoon to work. I want to remind you have a chance to subscribe to MLB TV Premium today and get over 150 select spring training games with no blackouts and every regular season game live or on demand on your favorite devices. Like to find out more details? It's a great deal. Just visit Dodgers.com. Dodgers with Arizona State Sun Devil and the old colors of the Albuquerque Dukes on hand here. Josh Lindblom takes over. Good afternoon by Aaron Harang. 1 run. He allows on 6 hits. And for Josh Lindblom, another outing, his 9th of the spring training. Swing and a miss, and the count now 1-1 to Viciedo.
He's had a chance to run out there quite a few times this year. It's the most of anybody on the Dodger staff. ERA of 4 right now. Trying to bring that down.
A mile into the air. Matt Kemp will wave off Andre Ethier and make the catch. The other change also besides Lindblom, who takes over on the mound. He has a new battery mate. Matt Trainer is doing the catching in behind home plate. 1 out, always a good way to start off the inning. Entering the ball game, here's Trace Thompson. Trainer, of course, adds a great deal of the veteran leadership in the backup role behind the dish. Mentioned earlier that for Trace Thompson, who was a little bit late there on that fastball, he was not late on too many pitches last year, and the home runs connected quite often, with 24 in 136 games in the Sally League. So I don't know if proud Papa Michael is watching on the West Coast, but boy, there's a great upside to Trace Thompson. Lays off a breaking ball, and it's amateur umpire afternoon by the sound of some of the crowd in the background.
A lot of big leaguers will get that call. Second life.
2-2, and that's outside. Say one thing, when you're sitting behind that screen, you don't get jelly-legged on that breaking ball.
No, you don't. It's easy to call balls and strikes back there, too.
And the farther away from home plate you are, the easier this game is. That's why we try and sit back a long distance. Here's the payoff.
That's gone.
Cruz runs out of room. So, Michael, if you're watching, you go ahead and stand up, because the youngster, Trace Thompson, we mentioned 24 home runs last year, and he connects for his first of the spring this year.
I'll tell you, this really wasn't a bad pitch. It was a slider down and away, and I was about to say that Thompson might get second life with a 3-2 fastball and have a chance to put one out of the yard. Took a slider and did the same darn thing. That ball was tailing down and away from him. He went down and got it. We talked about how the ball jumps here to left field, but you still got to hit it.
Still have to hit it. The White Sox have a 2-1 lead. Eduardo Escobar, 2 singles, both infield variety. One severely jammed. Fouls it off, and he's behind very quickly, 0-2. Escobar not with much power. The outfield not exceptionally deep. Jammed again, and timed perfectly at short by D. Gordon. I'll say one thing, Escobar is going to have to go soak his thumbs when this game's completed.
You're not really going to hit too many balls slightly over the head of D. Gordon that he can't jump up and catch.
Oh, D. Gordon, when he was 11 years of age, could dunk a basketball. He stood at that time about 5'5". Piazza, who's 1 for 3, knocked in one of the 2 runs for the White Sox. Takes a breaking ball, 0-1. It looks like Lindblom is back on track after the home run of the 3-2 pitch. But 0-2. No, it's spring training. If you're going to be bunting with 2 outs, you better have base stealing speed, because there's the opportunity of an extra base hit with 2 down.
Well, there's a bunt, a swinging bunt.
Yeah. Oh, a terrific play by Lindblom on not a bad, bunt distance, but swing, and it was in slow motion. So home run and a nice defensive play. Sox have the lead. 2-1 White Sox. The difference in the game, the home run by Trace Thompson, his first of the campaign. A festive crowd of 5,091 on hand here, Camelback Ranch, Glendale. And the bright sunshiny skies. Andre Ethier will start it off with his Dodger ball club. Ethier, as we mentioned earlier, has had just a terrific spring. Came on hitting at .421, 3 triples, 8 doubles, a couple of home runs, and Ethier came on with a slugging percentage, Steve, and I don't care if it's spring training or not, slugging percentage of .947. Impressive indeed. Lots
of doubles out there so far this season. Once again today, facing the lefty. 0 for 2 so far. Now he gets another lefty.
And the left-hander, Hector Santiago, came over in a deal from Toronto, and this young man, they are exceptionally pleased to have him. 0-1, and there's the breaking ball, and what we hear about Santiago. Don't know if he throws it to the left-handers, but he has a screwball, and it is a dandy, as we have been told.
That looked like it might have been that right there.
Ground ball and boxed up very nicely. Eric Morrison down at second base. That'll be an error.
This is just right through the wickets. You get over there, you're supposed to make the play, maybe a little nonchalant, takes a funny little hop on you late in the game. Next thing you know, you got a base runner.
One other defensive change. Justin Green has taken over in center field. And for Santiago, we will not see him any longer. About the time we're saying hello, we also say goodbye. So a pitching change at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Hope you're having as much sunshine as we are here in Arizona. Back with a change.
Hey Dodgers fans, the boys in blue are back and ready to spring into action. America's favorite pastime returns to Prime Ticket this April.
Big right-hander Addison Reed out of Montclair making the appearance, his 9th appearance in this spring. No wins or losses. ERA is under 3.5. He has been a 1-inning pitcher. Well, Santiago started off the inning, lefty against lefty. And Steve, as you were saying, they removed the wrong guy from the game.
Yeah, as the second baseman made the error, and they came in and got the pitcher.
Well, Santiago was just going to get the matchup against the lefty, but he may have been turning around and looking at Eric Morrison, who boxed that ground ball by Ethier. Here's Luis Cruz.
This is Reed. This guy was drafted in 2010, so he doesn't have that many innings, but he can bring it. He's a strikeout master. He struck out 155 guys in 108 innings.
Well, he's out of San Diego State.
You have a few hard throwers on that team back then?
Oh, boy, you better believe it.
Strasburg, Reed.
So Big Addison Reed, he's out of Rancho Cucamonga.
After Strasburg left, Reed led the team in strikeouts.
Good fastball right there. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. You grew up really watching the San Diego Padres closely. Of course, out of San Diego State. Ground ball could be and will be a double play. So come out of the bullpen to get the ground ball double play. Makes it look easy.
Andre Ether saying, I stayed in the game this long to have to break up a double play ball? That's not fun. Cruz bounces into it easily. Reed did exactly what he was trying to do. Get a guy to reach out, try to pull a ball that was away from him. It's a hard thing to do. We watched Thompson do that. That was kind of a slider down and away. It wasn't a brilliant slider, but it wasn't a terrible pitch. Reached out and hooked it into the seats. That's kind of a tough thing to do. More often than not, you're going to roll over it and bounce into a double play ball.
Juan Uribe, who is 1 for 2, has singled and bounced to third. And there's a base hit with 2 outs by Uribe, who's 2 for 3. So Uribe, who started at .219, the spring average, has put the bat on the ball very nicely. So Uribe is at first base, and Don Mattingly turning very quickly to Trey Hillman, his bench coach. They're trying to get a pinch runner for Uribe.
Comes Justin Sellers bouncing out of the dugout to take on the duty.
And Sellers is back and raring to go. He had a very bad skin rash that really sat him down for a number of days. At Trainer, his first at bat since taking over behind the plate for A.J. Ellis. Ellis, by the way, was 2 for 2, had a run knocked in on a sacrifice fly. Trainer hitting at .250 this spring. Limited at bats in the big league games. Only 16 trips to home plate officially. Has a home run, 3 RBIs. Gets under it. Trace Thompson. And that'll do it. A hit, an error, a double play turned, a man left. We go to the 8th inning, 2-1 Chicago. The Valley of the Sun is filled up with Cactus League baseball, and the city is, well, it is filled with fans and watching. Over 5,000 this afternoon. Happy you could join us. We'll be back at you again tomorrow. 1:05 first pitch. Chris Capuano will face Francisco Rodriguez as the Milwaukee Brewers will come back in. We'll be right here on Camelback Vision. Scott Rice is not going to wait till tomorrow. He comes on. He's the third Dodger pitcher. Aaron Harang went 6 strong innings. Lindblom worked the 7th, and now Rice, the lefty, in the 8th.
Rice making his 8th appearance of this season. You know, he's in an interesting position right now. Mattingly has just one lefty out of that bullpen, that being Scott Elbert. Rice has had himself a nice spring training here. Struck out a bunch of guys, and big, tall, left-handed pitcher. This is his 14th professional season, every one of them in the minor leagues. Trying to make a push to put a big league uniform on his back for the first time in his career.
Well, we talked earlier about this can be a time for some of the veteran players that is a little bit boring. The last week you start to perk up again because they're going to ring the bell soon. But the last 3 or 4 days have been kind of the dog days of spring training. Well, not for Mr. Rice. He is a week away from spring training. The Dodgers need to make a statement for the left-handed arm in their bullpen. The question is out. Ted Lilly is going to be pitching tomorrow on a bullpen session with a sore neck. How has Lilly progressed? So Rice has been here before, but he has not made it to the dance officially yet.
Rice has that combination that you tend to worry about. That just his second walk of spring training. So what I was about to say is that he doesn't walk that many guys, but does give up a hit an inning. If you walk a lot of guys and give up a hit an inning, you're going to be in big time trouble. You can kind of wiggle your way out of some of the other problems.
Eric Morrison, his first at bat since taking over. And trying to show bunt, takes it inside. So Rice is going to get a visit by his catcher, Matt Trainer, as he's thrown first 5 pitches out of the strike zone. Rice out of Simi Valley. Orioles' first round supplemental pick, 99 out of Royal High School. This is the second time that Rice has been with the Dodgers organization. 1-1. Very good bunt. And nicely done by Morrison. That moves a runner down to second. Really nothing for Rice to do except for wait for that ball to get to him. So,
well, at 6'6", he only had to take about 3 steps to go pick it up.
Well, Rice, we mentioned, he was at the Orioles organization. Then he went to the Rangers organization 2006. Came to the Dodgers 2008. Went to the Rockies 2 years ago. Then went to the Cubs organization. And in June of last year, re-signed with the Dodgers. Adam Dunn. Designated hitters, not had a good afternoon. 1 for 3, struck out twice and singled to right field. 2-1 White Sox, top of the 8th inning.
Well, if you're Scott Rice, this is the exact situation that you would probably be used in a major league game. Come in to face a lefty, see what you can do with him.
And for Rice, has a big point to prove because Steve not only can come out of the bullpen, during his career he has been a spot starter. And that question again won't know until about this time tomorrow. As far as Ted Lilly, will the Dodgers require a spot starter? Do they rejuggle their rotation until Lilly, if not healthy tomorrow? Do they supplement their rotation? And they may not know really until Friday, 24 hours after Lilly throws, if he is ready to come back and continue to go full speed. Two balls and a strike. So the first time that Rice was with the Dodgers organization, he wound up having surgery, a torn flexor muscle. So he was let go by the Dodgers and then went and played for the Long Island Ducks. And there's a ground ball left side of second base. So Dunn goes against the shift and gets the run across. 3-1 Chicago. It's not how hard, it's where.
I think sometimes when you're known as a tremendous power hitter, you got to get RBIs somehow, because if you're a power hitter, you're known as a guy who's going to be a run producer. You got to drive in runs any way you can, and if you're not going to hit it into the seats, especially when the runs present themselves out there on second base, hit it where they ain't. That's exactly what he did right there. Weak ground ball up the middle, looks golden.
So runners at the corners, first and third, and Ray Olmedo is the batter. Kenny Williams Jr. is the pinch runner over at first for Big Adam Dunn. If that name sounds familiar, Kenny Williams Jr., well, Sr. is the general manager. Olmedo takes outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You start to feel old when everybody on the field is either a guy that you played with their dad or played against their dad. I played with Kenny Williams in the White Sox organization when we were both there in the late 80s, and now his son's playing.
Trying to bunt it, and that goes foul. Well, Junior played at Birmingham last year, and he was below the Mendoza line. In 83 games, hit 195. So he's out of University of Arizona down at Tucson. 36 round pick. Originally did not sign. To left in that area where some gentlemen earlier had a golden opportunity with the gloves and did not get it on, but the bare hand pick up by the youngster. Scott Rice. You just wonder what goes through the minds of a younger player a week away from opening day and trying to figure out, is this the year I make it to the big leagues? Williams takes outside. Kenny Williams Jr. is also a switch hitter. They're right-handed against the left-hander Rice. Three runs, 8 hits, 1 error by Chicago. 1 run, 5 hits, no errors by the Dodgers. Got him.
Good breaking ball right there from Scott Rice. Caught a lot of the plate. Made sure someone's swinging at it. Pretty good hit and miss pitch, or swing and miss pitch right there.
Hector Jimenez is the batter. Took over behind the plate for Tyler Flores, who was 0 for 3 in the time he was in there. It's that time of the game. We're seeing less and less of it now than we did the first 2 innings, or first 2 weeks, I should say. And I were commenting before the game started that there was a highlight played locally of a pinch runner that came into a game, and people doing the broadcast couldn't find him anywhere listed. We've already had a couple of those today. Hit fouled on the third base line, so they put the graphic up, had his number, and they labeled him the minor league guy. And we are just about to that point.
Turned out that he was like one of their #1 prospects in the minor leagues too. So he probably won't be the minor league guy for the rest of his career.
But on that day, he was.
We were talking about Kenny Williams and his sons. Boy, he's passed down the genes. His other son is a punt returner and football player for the San Francisco 49ers. So he's got a son playing baseball, a son playing professional football. Kenny was a tremendous athlete himself. A wide receiver at Stanford along with playing baseball.
Easy play for Mark Ellis. So a run across. One hit. And that leadoff walk comes around, and yep, it scores. 3-1 Chicago, bottom of the 8th coming up. A delightful afternoon of baseball at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. 3-1 White Sox. Weatherman is dialed in. Picture-perfect weather for the rest of the Dodgers stay here in the Valley of the Sun. They'll play their final game here on Sunday. And then the Freeway Series kicks off Monday in Anaheim against the Angels. And Tuesday and Wednesday will be at Dodger Stadium. Wednesday's game, a day game. And completing that game on Wednesday, the day game at Dodger Stadium, Dodgers will board their team buses and go down to San Diego. 1 week from today, 2012 becomes, well, alive for keeps. Dodgers hoping that 2012 is going to be a banner season. Of course, over the last less than 48 hours, it has been a busy start to 2012 with new ownership, and that is continuing to get all done. A couple of changes for the White Sox. The biggest one is on the mound as Jesse Crain takes over.
Jesse Crain, formerly of the Minnesota Twins, spent a number of years there. He's been with the White Sox now for his second season. He was 8-3 last year. He's always been a setup middle guy.
Corey Sullivan, is the hitter.
Crain gets nearly as many appearances as he does innings pitched. So that means he ain't out there for long when he gets in there.
Specialist.
Yes.
Sullivan, and is backhanded by Andy Wilkins, who just entered the ball game down at first base. It is that time where you start to find members of the White Sox with high numbers and yet no name attached to the backs of their uniforms. One up and one down.
Dodgers with 2 more cracks at it here. They've had a pretty good spring win-loss wise. They've only lost 2 games in a row all season here once, and that was the last 2 days. So they're in danger of their first 3-game losing streak here in spring training if they don't turn it up a notch.
D. Gordon is 0 for 3. He's not had a ball out of the infield, struck out once. And did not particularly care for that call, and I don't know too many left-handed batters that would.
I mean, those running, sinking fastballs on the corner at the knees?
Well, Bruce Fremming, who umpired more games in Major League Baseball than anybody else and retired just a few years ago, still active with the umpires and their supervisor. And for D. Gordon, well, you don't like one call, and then you don't like the next swing. A check swing, and Crane gets the strikeout. But Bruce Fremming would refer to that area as in that gray area.
Most hitters like it black and white, don't they?
No, hitters and pitchers, and I think more so, they like it in living color.
Yeah. I want to know exactly what it is. I don't want it to be gray, especially if you're calling it a strike. Remember Durwood Merrill, big league umpire for a number of years. I'd look back at him and say, Durwood, that pitch isn't a strike. I can't hit that. And he'd say, Stevie, that was a Hall of Fame pitch right there, a Hall of Fame pitch. And I'd look back at him and say, you're right. This guy pitching right here will be in the Hall of Fame if you keep calling that pitch a strike.
Another one of the great umpires, Doug Harvey, is retired. And Doug would always say, if you asked him, didn't matter if you hit or the pitcher, said it either caught the plate or missed the plate by 3/8 of an inch. And if they're breaking it down to 3/8 of an inch, how on earth are you going to argue? Bruce threw me out of a game once. I had complained about a pitch. I said it had not been a pitch for about 8 innings or so. It was a hot afternoon at Dodger Stadium. He threw me out. I turned around, I threw him out.
He probably said, thank you.
I left, he didn't. He put the mask back on because he was beginning to laugh. You see, Jesse Crane puts that split finger grip on the ball before he goes into the glove. You know, pitchers do that because they don't want to show the hitters. If they start with a regular grip and then they're going to go that splitter, it alters the width of the glove, and hitters are always looking for something that will be a key to pick up a pitch.
Yeah, they'll have to go in there and then he'll have to dig for that split finger grip, and you can see him doing it. If he starts with it all the time, it's a lot easier to slide away from it.
Split finger or not, Ellis hits it a mile into the air. Well, it will not bring rain here in the Valley of the Sun. Crane has a good inning. The Dodgers are gone quickly and quietly. To the ninth we head. 2-run lead by the Sox. Three to 1 White Sox over the Dodgers. A pitcher's battle over the first 6 innings. Chris Sale started for the Sox. He went 6 very strong innings. And Aaron Harang, 6 strong innings for the Dodgers. Tapped on 1 run on 6 hits. I doubt if it's any studying that's taking place. for Ronald Belisario, back with the Dodgers organization, reactivated as far as on the 40-man roster. He'll come on. Belisario, his 7th appearance this spring. And while the numbers will get you saying, well, wait a minute. An earned run average of 7.5. He's given up a .304 batting average against. And it might negate what is going to follow. They like what they have seen with Ronald Belisario. And, Steve, it comes down, quite frankly. He has walked only 3 batters. His command, while he's been hit for average, he has been throwing strikes, and they have seen a lot of improvement as far as the movement of his pitches.
And he's always had that good movement when he's on. He's healthy, and as long as he gets his velocity back too there, that, you know, they really think that he can be back to the pitcher that he was a couple of seasons ago.
And the first batter is Jose Martinez against Belisario. A couple of other changes defensively up the middle of the infield. Jake Limmerman is now at shortstop, and Joe Becker takes over at second base.
Pretty funny story about Jake Lemmerman. On my flight over here, I was sitting next to a woman who was a party planner, and she said, you know, I went to school with a guy that's in your Dodger organization. I have no idea where he is. I said, well, probably a minor league camp. She said his name is Jake Lemmerman. Well, there he is. Didn't know I was going to see him play today. Taking his shots out there at shortstop.
So a party planner.
Yes. Wedding planner, actually.
Wedding planner.
Yes,
oh,
wedding
okay.
planner.
Is there any news with that?
I said, don't sit too close to me.
Pitch inside. So there's 2 things you're allergic to, we find out. Lightning is one of them, and wedding planners is the other.
Or just another wedding.
Okay.
I wonder if Jake's got a brother named David.
Fouled off. 2-2. Martinez, he was swinging the bat as if he was anticipating the ball was going to hit him on the toes.
Yeah, he tried to swing at that one to make sure it didn't hit him.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things, folks, that you miss when you're no longer an active player at the major league level. Fouling a ball off your foot or ankle is not one of them.
I guess it's just because those bones in your feet are a little looser and a little farther apart. But why don't they break? Why do you rarely hear of a guy who foul a ball off his foot and actually break a toe. But you foul it off your feet so hard, you feel like they're broken.
3-2. Chopper hit foul. Let me see if this description comes to your mind and is an accurate one. People say, what's it feel like when you foul a ball off your foot? I best explain it as, go in your closet. If you have a bowling ball there, take it out. I don't recommend you doing this, folks, but if you can imagine dropping a bowling ball on your foot, that's about what it feels like. Another foul ball.
And the worst part for some guys are too is like when you take that stride, and if you foul it off your front foot, a lot of times that front foot has rolled over. So a lot of times you're not even hitting it off your toes. You're hitting it off the arch of your foot or the instep of your foot. Drop the bowling ball on that part.
Well, Martinez has done it enough. He's wearing that shin guard on his front foot and shin. And it pays off. He's aboard with a leadoff single. There's no question. You foul a ball off your foot, you know when the clock strikes midnight, that glass slipper is not going to fit.
I always have to laugh with the guys, and there's so many of them. I'd probably say, what, a good 30% of guys walk up there with some kind of guard on their legs now. I always laugh when they foul it off a place where it misses the guard. We see guys foul it off their back legs sometimes.
Which I don't get.
I don't think I've ever done that. I've seen it.
Here's Trace Thompson. He did not foul it off of his foot last time up. He hit a home run over the left field fence. His first home run of the spring.
Take another look at that swing by Thompson and see, look at the pitch again. It wasn't a great pitch, but it wasn't terrible. It's a slider down maybe it's not as far away as I thought. Might have caught a lot of the plate there. But he went down there and just hammered it to left field.
Well,
it was a 3-2 pitch.
Mechanically, he got a lot of leverage on that swing when he hit the ball, and it gets away from Rivera. And that will go as an error on Rivera's. A good throw by Belisario.
One thing about playing first base is you always got to expect them to throw it to you over there.
Well, initially they're going to give the error to Ronald Belisario, and I would make the issue that they do not have the advantage of replay that we just did.
Yeah. You know, you should be able to play catch.
Lemmerman took over for D. Gordon at shortstop, fields it, and over to third is the runner. So an effective at bat by Thompson, hits it up the middle, gets that runner to third. And here's Eduardo Escobar, has gone the entire way. And for Escobar, folks, if you've not been with us, he is 2 for 3. He's not had an enjoyable at bat yet because his thumbs are screaming. He has been jammed solidly, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Infield is in.
But I ask you, in your major league career, would you trade 2 hits every day for icing your thumbs every night?
You can always find ice.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt that
Base hits on the that is something you can't always find. By the way, that has now been charged officially an error to Rivera. Escobar got jammed again. His thumbs may go on strike.
Trying to figure out a way to swing his bat just with his fingers.
So, okay, so you're a hitter. You know you get jammed. Now, if you're Escobar, are you looking for it inside? And if you're Matt Trainer, are you going to call for the pitch inside?
Well, I would be bailing and wailing, I'll tell you that. I'd be cheating down that first baseline and trying to get out in front of one so I didn't get jammed. Trainer has the disadvantage of not having been the catcher all day. I don't know if he was watching what was going on. They're going in.
It's a lot funnier up here. It's hard to hit when your thumbs are throbbing.
You know, the only time I got jammed is when I jammed myself, because I loved the ball in and I was a front foot hitter and I was always out in front of everything else. But I would get jammed on good pitches to hit that I was late on. And so it was hard to get in and jam me. I would do it to myself.
1-2, and it's out away from him. Oh, for Escobar, he was hitless in that at bat, but it wasn't a bad one. His thumbs are not hurting nearly as badly. So the runner stays at third. Punta goes 5-3.
Well, if the Dodgers can hold on to this run right here, keep them from scoring at third base, they got a chance to come in and score 3 in the 9th.
Well, Belisario, who has gotten over some troubles and was here early for spring training and waiting for the rest of the squad to report. Even though the earned run average is high, even though the batting average against him has been over 300, as we mentioned earlier, he has still impressed a lot of the Dodgers executives. Are looking on, and the coaching staff is looking on. And Steve Belisario obviously came to spring training very hungry and trying to prove a lot of points.
He's been through some tough times, and I mean, he threw up some pretty good numbers for this team when he got his opportunity.
Ground ball, nice play and a close play, but Limmerman gets his man as he went up the middle. So Ronald Belisario, leadoff single, but a runner is left in scoring position. Bottom of the ninth, Dodgers trying to play catch up. For the Dodgers, they go to the bottom of the ninth inning, trailing the Chicago White Sox by a pair of runs. Big left-hander Matt Thornton comes out of the Sox bullpen, which is going to be anchored by a couple of youngsters we've already seen today, Addison Reed and Hector Santiago. Combined have 51 days of Major League experience, and Ken Williams, their general manager, says he absolutely loves the bullpen. Well, Thornton's part of that bullpen, and he comes on now.
Not much not to like so far from Thornton. His 7th appearance. He's got an ERA of 1.59.
Been a long day for Matt Kemp, over 3, and he struck out all 3 times. And quite frankly, he has not been handling breaking pitches very well. So down by a pair. Juan Rivera to follow. And for Kemp, 1 ball and 1 strike.
I do love it when teams start to get comfortable with Matt Kemp, though. He's had a rough day, struck out a bunch of times. Better not forget about him.
Thornton, 6'6" left-hander, delivers, and Kemp was tied up on that one. Thornton actually thought about playing basketball in Europe. He knew that interest from the NBA would not be there. The Division II school, he fared pretty well in rebounds and points scored at 6'6". And trying to score some more points here for his manager, Robin Ventura, and close it out.
I think the funniest part of today is the youngster that they're going to go with as their closer, or at least that's the way it looks right now, is Santiago. We saw Santiago today.
For one batter.
Yeah, he comes in, throws a ground out to the second baseman. The second baseman boots it, and they come and take Santiago out of the game.
That's what you call a tough day at the office.
Yeah. It's like, I wasn't the one that clanked it out there.
They're going to come inside to Kemp, and he is struck out. That's the 3rd time today on a check swing. And whether or not you're coming off of a stellar season or not, there are days it is definitely a tough day at the office.
Matty just couldn't figure it out today, and it's the same every day here, really, as far as the brightness. So I wouldn't blame anything on the way the ball looks today. We have seen a lot of strikeouts. We haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of offense out of the Dodgers.
Well, Rivera has some of that offense. He has one of their 5 hits, that being a 2-out double in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. And a base hit attempt taken away, and a good fielding play by Escobar at 3rd last time up. And Thornton took a little off right there, so we've not seen a good swing yet off of Thornton. Thornton a couple of years ago averaged over 12 strikeouts for every 9 innings that he worked.
That's Kenley Jansen-ish. Well, Jansen, 16.1 strikeouts per 9 last year.
I mean, the numbers are silly.
All time. He struck out two every time he came in, he struck out 2 guys.
Ball outside. Interesting, too. Charlie and I were talking about this the other day. Both Jansen and you look at Javi Guerra. Remarkable seasons. Guerra's going to be the closer. Jansen will be the setup man, but they come into spring training with something attached to them they've never had attached before. And that's the word expectation.
Yeah, a little more pressure on what they do.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Juan Rivera. How will they handle the spotlight, if you will? As a year ago, they knew they were going to A ball and double A ball. Well, they know where they're headed this year, too. Back to the major leagues.
Well, I look at Javi Guerra and the way he reacts to things, and that tells me that I think he can handle the situations that will be thrown at him. Certainly did it last year. And I look at Jansen with just such ridiculous, overpowering stuff that should carry him through some of the bad times.
Back-to-back strikeouts. And Kemp struggled swinging the bat, and so did Rivera here. Well, Sale had 7 strikeouts in his 6 innings of work. That's 10 strikeouts by the White Sox pitchers. Josh Bard will come on as a pinch hitter here with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, and the Dodgers trailing by a pair.
Josh Bard said, I've been sitting over there for about 3
all day
hours.
For that. Ben May has heard it from some of the fans and the players alike. Working home plate. And Bard sat there, saw 2 pitches in the 9th inning, and that's going to wrap it up. But overall, how do you equate it if you're the manager? Well, good pitching by both starting pitchers. Crowd of over 5,090 here at the ballpark this afternoon as the White Sox win it by a score of 3-1. Remember, we're back at you, Camelback Vision tomorrow, 1:05 start. The Brewers will be in town. Chris Capuano against Francisco Rodriguez. And Steve, one thing about it, we'll see some baseball tomorrow. Look forward to it.
Absolutely. And, good pitching on both sides, not so much offense.
Well, offense, it was not there for the Dodgers until tomorrow. From all of us here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. See you tomorrow. Today, 3-1 White Sox.